So we have
pumpkin spice lattes because it's fall.
I have an Americano.
Well, I know, but I was just pretending that we both had them. I have a pumpkin spice latte.
Sorry,
Sharon
you
has an Americano.
You didn't tell me I was supposed to pretend I had a pumpkin spice latte.
We were going to lie about the lattes.
I don't lie. I'm not a
Hey,
liar.
now you guys know Sharon always gives you 100% of the truth.
I would be a real housewife. You'd be like Dorinda.
That's throwing down the gauntlet. Hi, this is Caitlin.
And this is Sharon.
And welcome to Real Housewives on Real Housewives, where we unravel housewives' story threads and keep the tea flowing.
So chic.
Hold on to your reading glasses.
Today we're digging into Love Italian Style, a book by Melissa Gorga, which they summarize as Real Housewives of New Jersey star Melissa Gorga shows you how to love your man and keep him happy, satisfied, faithful, and devoted to you.
It's funny, I can kind of see on the outside how people might be like, oh, their relationship is so cringy. But I think they're really sweet. Not always.
Okay.
Not in everything. But.
Yeah, I think they're really sweet, and it upsets me that I actually don't hate this book.
Yes, I would agree with
I
that.
want to hate this book, but for whatever reason I can't, and it's because I'm a Gorga kisser, whatever.
Whatever those comments
Some
have been
lady
saying
online, the one comment we got was like, called me a bad name. I don't know.
I like of all the stupid stuff we've probably said and done.
That's
it's
what you chose.
Teresa and Melissa, the division of those teams that pisses people off the most. I just love that. All right, best part. What did you like about this book? The hot tea.
I like that you could feel how much they love each other.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, I really did feel like she's trying to help you get a marriage as good as hers. Mm-hmm. She's confident in her marriage and she's happy and she has something that works for her.
Yeah.
The other thing I really liked were throughout the book, they had these text boxes where Joe wrote his opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was really fun.
That is cute.
What about you?
Yeah, I liked their meet cute, like the story of how they met. I enjoyed that. They met like in a bar and he kept actually he saw her across a swimming pool.
Oh, yeah.
And he was sure that I'm going to marry this woman. And then he kind of kept going into a bar and asking her out. She kept saying no. And then he gave up and she kind of was asking about him. I don't know. I thought that whole story, I loved that. That was just adorable. I also liked understanding just for them because it made them seem more like humans, like real people, not just real housewives, that they had big money issues. So I felt like they could understand Teresa and the needing to make money while she was in jail thing because they had times when they were really low on money and that they were struggling from week to week. And when the economy fell and he was like, you have this amount of money for groceries and that's it. Mm-hmm. That just made them really human to me. And it was cool to see how hard Joe worked to push through that. And it made me think that Teresa judging them when they were trying to help her when she was in jail and needed to make money, I wanted to be I think they totally understood. So I didn't understand that. And I thought that was really interesting. So those were the two things I really liked.
Especially because I don't understand why Teresa doesn't understand. Because when I got this book, I really felt how Joe and Melissa would do anything for their family.
I agree.
I mean, I think that of everybody, but you could just kind of feel it somewhat differently in them.
I think she says it a lot, and that's great, but they show it. And I do think that there's a huge difference in people who just say stuff I love this, and then people who show you that they actually care about it. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And there was other advice I thought was really good. She basically said, you don't like your relationship, instead of complaining about it, do something to fix it.
Yeah.
You try to fix your part, and then, hopefully they come fix their part, which is good advice. And I think we all know that, but we don't do it. We're waiting for the other person to fix their part.
I think we have this idea that we're right, and we can push the other person to fix their problems. And it's well, you probably brought something into it. Maybe it's not as big or as, but you brought something that you can repair too.
Yeah. Or you could do something nice.
Mm-hmm. I liked too when she said I sometimes would misinterpret his directness as demands. I do that. I sometimes think if someone's really strong with me, they're go do this. I feel I have I don't have a choice. I have to go do it. And I thought I could see really feeling that with Joe. And I thought that was interesting because I could see in a marriage like that where he's so much stronger and she's a little bit more quiet. Mm-hmm. I could see that being a thing. And I thought it was interesting when she said that because I was kind of oh, I think I do that.
Mm-hmm. It's not like a text where you can put a smiley face.
Exactly. I'm just going to start holding them up at home.
I feel like, David, you have to pick an emoji. Isn't that sad? We really can't function
without. That's a mean
without.
emoji. We're not speaking now.
Okay. So what was the worst part? What didn't you like about this book? Iced tea.
Well, okay, again, I think there's an interesting genre in these housewife books where I don't understand why we can't just do a biography. I don't understand why we have to sort of disguise it as a self-help book. I liked the story of her rough childhood. I liked how she and Joe met. I mean, I'm reading this because I'm a fan of you and your life and I want to know more about you. I'm not sure you have to give me all this advice on top of it. And I'm kind of tired of that genre where it's it's a biography, but they're also, what can you offer the reader? Someone might just really want, and is anyone who's in relationship problems picking this book out of the stack of them, or are they picking it out because they like Melissa, or they like New Jersey, or they like Bravo? I don't understand this hiding a biography as a self-help book. Yeah. I don't know. My other thing that I didn't love was that, and I think it was the digital, because it's funny, you just said that you really liked the pull-out, text boxes. Yeah. In the digital, it was a little more confusing. They'd put it in a slightly different font, but sometimes I think they were her words. Once I think they were the makeup artist's words. I wasn't sure if they were always Joe or not. It was really unclear. And I wish they'd were they all Joe? See, but I couldn't tell.
As far as I can remember.
Okay, so then maybe they were. But I got confused at one point thinking what, is this Joe? And it really threw me off. So whoever did the digital needed to kind of work with that a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, I have one more thing. Sorry.
Go for it.
This time I'm like you. I'm like, ooh, ooh, ooh.
That's one. I'm not like that.
I got more. I mean, not like you. Like me. Okay, I really disagree when she was like, a man doing the dishes does not turn me on.
Yeah, I know.
That's total crap to me. She's like, talk about crushing the fantasy of the big bad protector. I'm like, no, I love this.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I completely disagree.
You're I have a Ring doorbell.
Exactly.
I don't need that.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I'm I'm sorry, but if a man wants to clean something for me, I think that's totally, I once thought a guy was super hot because he made a really awesome, spreadsheet. It's this is where I'm coming from. That guy's so hot. He made an awesome spreadsheet. I don't understand. So I disagree.
Yeah. So this book definitely, okay. And that's what I didn't like because it was so into the traditional gender roles.
Yeah.
That, okay, I don't know. And normally I hate that, but for them, I feel like it works for them and they like it.
That's why I think it's more of a biography. Yeah. It is their dynamic. And she says women, what did she say? Women are the captains of the ships or something. There's some thing that she says that. It's she is pretty feminist in a lot of her views, but also not, but then more traditional in her marriage. But she makes that clear at least.
Yeah. She acknowledges that she's extremely traditional and that's what she thinks it takes to keep a marriage hot and whatever.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is she keeps saying if you make him the king, he will he'll make you on the queen. So, or something like that. But okay. On page 8, here's what Joe needs to feel respected.
Yes.
1, to be greeted at the door with hug, kiss, and smile. 2, a home-cooked dinner in a well-kept house with fresh and clean kids. 3, sex 3 to 5 times a week. Now, here's what... So that's what she has to do.
I'm failing it so much right now.
Now, you want to know what he has to do?
Yes.
What I need to feel respected by Joe. He tells me where he is, what he's doing, and with whom. Kind words, sexy looks.
Yeah.
His is way easier.
His is a lot
He just has
easier.
to say a few things, look at her a little bit, and text I'm at Winco or
with
whatever.
Joe. Or, no, he's Joe with Phil or something.
I feel
you're right. That is not a fair diversion of labor. I also, it's and I think I put this under just the disturbing part for me. I think we were both saying our thoughts on this jump between the categories a little bit more than sometimes they do. But also, okay, so she says you make him the king and he'll make you his queen. Okay, and I get that. But that's not true of all relationships. Just because you're willing to put in that amount of work, that doesn't always mean you're going to get that amount of work back. And what do you do in that case? You just dig down into yours and give more and more and more, and they take more and more and more. And I know she's saying they're abusive relationships, but they're also just relationships of a disbalanced power. I'm just not sure that unless you're both the kind of people who give 100%, that's fair. And also sometimes one of you is going to give more and one of you is not going to give more. And what do you do when that's the case?
You get divorced.
Yeah. Right away. You don't even give it a chance. No, but I just don't think that. Yeah. I'm not sure it's not accurate. That's not the word, but practical. I don't know if that's a practical advice that you can give to somebody.
Yeah.
Just continue to give it your all. And eventually he'll give his all.
Yeah. It's I think you have to maybe give... I guess you guys have to figure out how to give your all.
Yes.
And how the other one will. Because
and she doesn't address that.
Yeah. Okay. This is one thing that kind of bothered me. he made it sound like no matter what, he should come home to a hot meal.
Mm-hmm.
This is assuming
Yeah.
that he is working this long, hard day,
Right.
which maybe he is,
Yeah.
and she is
Not.
or her job still allows her.
Yes.
Because she's like, oh, well, I still do this and this. And
Mhm.
but
What
okay,
about when you're adding on stuff?
what about when she's doing,
Yeah.
a long day?
Mhm.
Maybe it's not as physical at the office, but
Right.
does she? Because he says,
Yes.
there's this one page, he says, like, I don't care if the woman makes more money than the man. If he's a janitor and she's the president, after a 14-hour workday, like, he needs to come home to dinner on the table. I'm like, if she's the president, you still want her
Yeah.
to cook dinner
That's
for
crazy.
her janitor husband?
Yeah.
What?
I think maybe they get a chef.
Yeah. Well, I'm like, her day was
was hard
harder.
too.
Her
Yeah.
day was, or it was
Exactly.
hard too.
Yes.
It's just assuming that the woman's
Yeah.
not working.
Mm-hmm. I think so. And I also just don't think it's fair because, like, I've known housewives and people who stay home who are like, I'm not a cook. I don't cook.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't think you can demand that either. Like, also sometimes your day at
But
home
she
is
learned
so
how to
much harder.
cook because
Yeah,
of this.
exactly.
She like called her mother-in-law every day for 2 years or something
Yeah.
to learn how to cook. Which
Exactly. But it does.
I love
just,
you,
like,
Debbie. I'm not calling.
Yeah, I'm not calling you. To learn
Debbie
how.
doesn't even cook really. So.
Yeah. Well, see, good job, Debbie. She set a good standard there. She's not. Thomas isn't like I expect them every day. How long did it take you to finish the book? Did you have to force yourself to read it, or couldn't put it down?
It reads pretty fast. Probably 6 or 7 hours total.
Yeah, I read
most
it in
of
a day.
one stretch.
Yeah, me too.
Were there any parts of the book that you thought were disturbing?
Okay, well, first of all, she can't come to our parties because she said no plastic plates.
Oh,
And I was like, well, Sharon and I have to put this book
I
down now
know.
because sorry, environment, but a party deserves a paper plate.
I know.
Maybe not a fancy dinner party, but we're not at that level.
Okay,
yet.
here's my thing about paper plates. I would probably waste more money or more environmental
Yes.
resources washing the dishes than I would if I just
I think
use
that
the
you
paper
would.
plate through
We've
it.
been out and we forgot to get them. We have been running the dishwasher twice as much.
Although they say running the dishwasher is more efficient
Better,
than
yeah.
hand washing.
Exactly. Yes.
What's a housewife to do?
I know what.
I don't know.
What are we supposed to do with that information? Also, like disturbing. I thought that like all of her kind of like passionate parts were a little bit like uncomfortable. That's not my favorite stuff to read about other people's sex lives. Like that's not my thing. The other thing I hated was the changing the light bulb. Like there are some things I think it's okay to expect some of you, and it's a freaking light bulb, and you're taller than she is. And it was like, so she said, like, what was it? There was a light bulb in the house and she wanted it changed.
And it needed like a ladder.
Yeah, and it needed a ladder to get to it. It wasn't like one you could just stand on in the kitchen and get it. Like, and so she said like Joe was like offended that she'd want him to waste even 20 minutes of their together time on a chore. And then he was like, just hire somebody to do it.
What?
I would have been livid because I don't think we should waste our money because you're too lazy to climb up and change a freaking light bulb. I don't care if that's what you do all day.
Yeah.
That's like saying just because you have a certain job and it's like something that you do that no one should ever ask you about that job.
Mm-hmm. You want to know the part I
Yes,
found disturbing?
I do.
The fact that I somehow didn't leave this book feeling enraged.
I think that's a fair point.
Like I actually enjoyed the book.
Yeah.
I love Melissa. I
did
love
too.
Joe. I really feel like I should be horrified, but I'm for some reason not horrified.
I think this is the
I don't
time to ask
know.
the question because I put it at the bottom. But we always talk about how we shouldn't cross over things. But
Yes.
I think that if it's in our own universe, like we looked at Kyle's book, so people can go back and listen to that. So when we read Kyle's book, it's very like anti-feminist. It's very like 1950s
Yeah, like put on
housewife.
lipstick before your man comes home.
And we got ragey about that
We
book.
did. I got
And
really
we
mad.
aren't getting ragey about this book.
But
why?
Why?
I think it's because Melissa's good at balancing better. Like she does say things like women are still important, or I did stand up to Joe for this or that. Like I think also it makes sense in their dynamic. I see Melissa and Joe and they have a traditional relationship, but she's explaining how that works and how that doesn't make her an anti-feminist in kind of what she says. With Kyle, I felt like we read that book and I was like, I'm sorry, who is this woman? Because that's not what I see in her relationship with she and Mauricio. I don't see a traditional housewife marriage with them. I see a pretty modern give and take. So I think when we read hers, it was like, who wrote this?
Yeah.
Whereas with Melissa, it was like, okay, Melissa wrote this.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's why I think it works.
That must be it because I'm still just struggling to put my finger on it.
Because it's not like
I think
we
that's
like
part
Melissa
of it.
more than Kyle. We like both of them. So
I like both of them. And I like Mauricio and I like Joe.
Yeah, it's not like we went into it going, oh, I'm going to hate this. Like we went into both going, well, I like this housewife, but let's see how this goes.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's interesting.
Oh, the other thing I kind of didn't agree with, and I know we might have harped on this already, but like if they go out together, like a bar or something, they stay together.
Yeah.
Versus maybe separating and socializing. And she kind of acknowledges that they're codependent or something like that. But to me, I mean, I feel like I just need away time.
Yes.
Sometimes.
I didn't quite understand.
I don't want someone. I want to talk as my own person sometimes.
Yes, exactly.
So she doesn't, so that's cool. But
I know I don't think I quite understand the couples that are just like, we're couples. We only go out as couples.
Yeah.
Like we went out as couples just the other night, but like we hadn't been out as couples in like years.
A long time. Yep.
and maybe that's bad. But at the same time, it was like, it made me think like, but we don't always have a lot of time. So when we do, sometimes we need that as a self-recharge. And like, I do hope Melissa and Joe, they are such a team. And it was interesting when she said that was her theory on the show, that they were going to go in as a team and they were going to be a team. And I do think that's why there's so much more of a presence of the house husbands on New Jersey other than other franchises, because I do think that they were kind of like, we're a team, the men are part of this. Because Joe is just constantly in the storylines. Yeah. And so are the other men now too.
Yeah, Joe is the storyline.
Yeah, it is. So that's an interesting precedent that I'm not sure if Melissa said it, but somebody in the Jersey universe said it.
Oh, there was something I did like. Can we go back?
Yeah.
She writes about like she's proud to look good, and I would be proud if I look good.
If I looked like her, I wish I looked proud.
But I actually did like this quote that she wrote. She said, "It's not vanity to care about how you look, as long as you don't equate looking good with being a good person."
That's interesting.
Because I kind of thought she was like, it's okay to want to look good, but I know it's not like, but I'm not vain about it. I don't know.
No, I do think that's interesting. Because like, as we were talking about like, okay, so you have a skill and you offer it to somebody, like what you did for work or what you did before you had kids or whatever. But like, I think that I can offer those things, but I do think like taking care of my looks is just like 100% selfish to me. And it's like, but so that's an interesting way, I think, to think about it, because maybe that would allow you to have more self-esteem in how you look and not feel like you had to be apologetic for it.
Yeah.
What makes this book unique to you? For me, I put like in modern times, is it more old-fashioned? And I thought that made it kind of unique, I guess.
Yeah. I guess I felt like I was surprised it was so traditional and she didn't get torn apart.
Yes.
Like if this had come out today, 10 years later. That's interesting. This is the same year Kyle's book came out, I think. They both have been 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So 10 years later, what would their reaction be today? I'm not sure.
I bet it would be worse for both books.
You think?
Yeah.
But people still like, but now Melissa has her diehard fans.
It is true. But I feel like the books would have gotten graded over the coals a little bit more. I think because they came out in the early years of the Housewives, the audience wasn't as big. Possibly maybe 2. And people were just so excited to see anything from them. Now there's like such an inundation of stuff, and all of the like Instagram and Twitter and all of that is so much bigger too, that you're getting more information. Whereas initially I bet people were really into buying books because that's where you got the information. And now the information comes from so many other sources.
Yeah.
That maybe people would be like, I don't want this old fashioned thing.
I think we kind of did. What surprised you on the book?
Oh, I didn't know that she was like OCD and a clean freak.
I didn't either, but I totally could see that.
But I never saw that on the show, which I just thought was interesting. Also that she said she's a homebody, and how little makeup she said she wore at first. But it is true, when you look back at old pictures of her, she did not over makeup.
Over makeup?
Over makeup.
I didn't know that.
She's regular makeup. Yeah.
She regular.
Oh, and my favorite line. I loved when she was like, nothing looks SEXY on a BITCH. I like how I spelled out the first word and then I was almost willing to say the second bad word. But I love that. I want that on a t-shirt.
I don't think that's true.
I don't think it is
but
either.
I want to believe it's true.
I like it as a saying.
I do too. I really do like it. But I do like how she does promote like your confidence is everything.
Yeah.
I think she's good about that. But then again, it's easy to be confident when you're hot.
Yeah. It also kind of surprised me that she was like, oh, we're fine with our haters.
I know.
Like,
yeah.
What did she say? She said, Joe and I refused to engage. Instead, we embrace our haters. We've learned to love them. You're nothing without them. So thanks to our haters who hate us because of Jersey.
Yeah. We have like 5 fans and one of them is a hater. We saw your comments.
Don't think we let that go.
Yeah.
It's in the back of our mind.
Do you have any lingering questions about finishing the book?
Yeah. I guess mine was I think we kind of went over it a little bit, but like, what do you do if the man isn't willing to be as giving back to you? Like the whole, if I treated him like a king, he's treating me like a queen. I just feel like she didn't address that. Like, what if that's not, what if that's not the agreement in your marriage? Like, I don't know, because then you just have a real one-sided, like, give, and one person take. And that's when I think things become toxic. So it's like, I think like prescribing that is great, but you can really only prescribe it if you know the other person is willing to give as much.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's terrible.
I guess she's saying you just have to put yourself out there and try it.
I think so. And if it doesn't come back to you, then you
she
leave.
honestly assumes it will work.
I think she was. And I don't think she'd just stick around if it didn't work.
I would hope not, yeah.
But there are people who would. And so, yeah.
It's funny because my lingering question was on the same vein. She says that he treats her like a queen, but I would have liked some examples.
Yeah.
Like, I cannot think of anything besides that list where she said, like, give me a sexy look and say nice things to me. Like, what else did he do?
Right. And
he worked really hard, which great. You know, I hope everyone should work hard, to keep their family under a roof. Like,
it makes me worry that it's sort of that exchange where it's like, well, I allow you to stay home and not work. So that's my thing that I gave you. And I'm not sure. Again, I think that's choosing a job too. So yeah, I hope that that's not the thing.
How honest do you think the author was?
I think she was much more honest than Kyle. I think she was like, marriage is work, but I want my marriage to work. Like, I want it to be steamy. I want these things. And I think it's okay to want traditional values too, if that works in your marriage. So maybe that's another reason why it works more than Kyle's. Like, I think she was honest. And I think it is actually putting yourself out there to say, like, I'm espousing these old fashioned things as much, because there is kind of a stigma to that now.
Yeah, there's like a backlash to it, maybe.
Yeah. What about you?
I think she was honest about like the day-to-day functioning of her marriage and her marriage philosophy. I don't know. It did seem kind of surface level, but I think the book is what the book is supposed to be. I didn't necessarily get into like, what do they do when they're in crisis or I don't know. Yeah. Big emotions, I guess.
Right. Yeah. They didn't mention that much. They would say like, we're Italian and we fight hard, but yeah, I didn't see much of that in the book. I agree. Did reading the book change your view of the author or the Housewives franchise?
They have a lot more traditional gender roles than I thought. I mean, I knew kind of, but otherwise I feel like, oh yeah, that's exactly how they are.
Yeah, I kind of agree. The only thing that I thought was interesting was that she gets, graded over the coals for being so like mean to Teresa and mean to that side of the family. And what I thought was interesting in the book is there was no mention of any negativity. It was Joe that mentioned a little bit. Melissa she took the high road. She could have said a lot of stuff in this book and used this as a platform, and she did not. And she said, we don't make our kids a big part of production, and they don't, which is different from what Teresa did. And I'm not saying that's good or bad. I'm just saying it is interesting that they have shielded their kids from that limelight more than they have on the other side. I don't know. I just thought that was interesting. I mean, she said, like, I want to keep my side of the street clean and be myself within a big family personality. But she did a good job of that. I mean, she did not come for anybody in this book.
I kept thinking, like, man, is she going to say something about Teresa any page now?
No, I know. And she even said, like, all of my kids answer great. Like, and she was, I kept looking for like a little dig, but there wasn't one. She kept her side of the street clean.
Ooh, I like that. Let's judge a book by its cover. Do we like the artwork or in this case photograph?
I do. I think it's a really cute cover. It's interesting because she talked about her fashion in there and how classic she is, and I never thought about it, but she really is, because she is kind of that, if you show one asset, you don't show another. Like if you show arms, then your legs are more covered, or one thing versus the other. And she is like very understated but classic. And I wouldn't have ever thought to put that on her, but after she explained it, I was like, yes, that she is not as over the top as the other Jersey women. She's she keeps it much more like classic.
Yeah, I love the cover. I thought it was really cute. I like the script for the title. The only thing I was going to ask you this, because you know more. Okay, it says Love Italian Style. Should it have been like Love, Italian Style? Or love,
no, because that would be like Italian Style wrote the letter.
Okay.
You could,
like, I guess
hyphenate Italian Style, but really you should only hyphenate it if it's in front of something else.
Okay. I knew you'd know.
Anyway, I just want Joe to note that I gave out that information for free and I didn't yell at Sharon about it.
I know.
I feel
you
like
didn't tell me to go online and hire a...
Exactly. No, I mean, I'm sorry. I'm still mad about that for some reason. Because I just feel like, what is your wheelhouse? You share that with, like, okay, we had a teeny tiny board meeting, remember? And we were trying to figure out how to like divvy stuff up. And Thomas was like, you go with what each of you thinks you're better at.
Yeah.
Like you give what is your thing to give. And I was like, oh, that's an easier way than instead of like 50-50 or this or that. And it's like, I mean, Joe, that's kind of what it is. Your light bulbs are kind of your thing. Sorry.
I'm not super into traditional gender roles.
No,
but I'm not
either.
changing a light bulb. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You changed the light bulb.
I do. Yeah, I do.
Oh, okay.
But I get mad about it sometimes.
That's like one of those things I'm like,
yeah,
nope, that's your job.
Well, if I don't, it stays dark.
Okay, I think I have changed them in lamps, but like when they're on the ceiling.
No, I mean, I would never like deal with my chandelier or anything.
Oh God, no.
And to be fair, we did hire somebody to change our chandelier, but that's because it was really dangerous.
Yeah.
I mean, it was super. I was worried that we were going to get sued by the guy who had to change it. Like, so I understand that. But I feel like, again, with Joe, he's got the equipment. Mm-hmm. He's got the skills. You know, like our husbands take ladder training. He's probably had ladder training at his work. Melissa hasn't had ladder training.
Yeah.
Again, you bring your skills. I just don't understand why that's such a big deal.
I don't either.
I don't understand why somebody asking you something in your wheelhouse is a problem. I really don't get it.
But it's the bigger thing there that she can't ask him to do anything because he works hard all day.
Yeah.
It's like, well, where does the line that because I worked hard all day, where does that end where I can now, how much does that buy you?
And I know sometimes you're like, oh, I can't do this right now. I'm busy. Mm-hmm. But like, I've never thought when someone's asked me a favor for something that I don't suck at. Like if someone asked me a favor for something I really wasn't good at, I might be like, no. But like, I've never thought, well, did I work so much today that I'm going to say no to that? Right. Like, what is that? Like, again, I don't know. Oh, God. I also think that's kind of how people relate. Like, I think he should feel proud that she would ask him to do something related to his work, I guess. Well, that's the other thing too. Like,
it's also kind of more loving to be like, I think you're showing that you love the person. You're like, I'm tired, but I'm going to change it for you.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. No, but I do think it's true. Like, I know, like, my brother's busy and I'll bug him at work sometimes and ask him like a pharmacy question. I'll be like, sorry, man. But it's like, at the same time, he's like, oh, no. Like, I can tell you that. And again, I think he's proud to use his, again, I just don't get it. Just bring the dang ladder home.
Change
Joe.
the light bulb.
Change the light bulb. How many Joes does it take to change a light bulb? 0. Didn't she make that joke or something?
Oh, did
she said like how many Gorgas, but I don't remember what the answer was. But how many Joes is 0. Okay, so I guess we are down to the Real Housewives on Real Housewives. Thumbs up or thumbs down?
Okay. This is hard for me. I give it 1.75.
Oh.
Like one thumb and then
cut off part of the nail.
One thumb up to the knuckle. Like not that, what's the I should know this. The tip, whatever it's called. And the only reason I actually want to give it 2 thumbs up, but the feminist in me cannot give the rest of that thumb.
Yes. I kind of paused on it too. Like I actually didn't write down either. I was just like, okay, well, thumbs up if you like Melissa and what you're looking for is a Melissa biography. But I would not recommend the book as a relationship advice book. Unless you're a Jersey fan.
And unless you're specifically.
Or you're looking for a really traditional.
Which in this case, I don't think you'd be like buying this. I think you'd already be.
I guess when I kind of look for like a self-help book, I am looking to see that someone has some sort of like accreditation or background in it. And no offense, I mean, I'm not saying that like giving your example of your life, I mean, that helps. And that creates community. Yeah. Like it creates community amongst like housewives and
so you're saying you want a psychologist to tell you everything.
Yeah, I do. I do. I'm checking the letters at the end of your name. I don't know. I just feel like just because you've been on a couple seasons of Jersey doesn't really make you a relationship expert. Is that fair?
It made Kyle one. It made Kyle a fashion expert.
Yeah. Well, it didn't work for Kyle.
That's oh,
I didn't mean that. I meant the book.
Oh, I thought you meant because they got divorced. Or no, they're not divorced. They get separated. I'm so sad.
No, I didn't mean that. I'm sad about that.
I love that.
I meant it didn't work in writing the book.
Okay.
Now that's all I can think of. I'm not co-signing her divorce, guys. I like Mauricio.
I love Mauricio.
All right. Well, I guess that brings us to the end of our book club on Melissa. We're in the middle of Jersey right now, going through our other people in the cast from season 13. So you can go and listen to those as well. Give them a listen and get the whole Jersey wrap up. Also remember that Real Housewives of Salt Lake City is coming back soon. So if you want to feel like totally prepared for that season, go back and listen to our episodes from season 3 because we take, a character, run through the whole issues they had through the season and get yourself prepared because I'm really, really, really excited for that.
Agree.
Yeah. All right. Remember, housewives bring the drama.
We bring the receipts.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please hit the subscribe button. If you'd like to help support us, please share it with others and leave a rating and review. Also, visit us on Instagram and Twitter, both at RH_on_RH for fun pictures and polls, or email us at rhonrhpodcast@gmail.com. Thanks again, and remember to stay out of the shade.